were going to get somebody really great, but I said this on draft night. I really didn't expect Raven to be there. She was someone that, I kind of had in that 4, 5, 6 range.
You didn't expect
I think
Raven.
A point guard like her that can come in and run a team with great leadership, great competitive drive. Obviously on the defensive end of the floor is really, really elite already. And then you see how her game has grown, shot almost 40% from 3-point this year. I mean, we just really loved everything about her. So when she was sitting there at 10, of course we were going to take her. So yes, it adds tremendous depth. But because we have Ty Harris, because, obviously we've got Caitlin back in healthy, it gives her a chance to really grow. For every rookie coming in this league.
Pay attention for a moment, because Amber Cox just stepped in front of the cameras trying to cool down the storm around the Indiana Fever. But instead of settling things, her carefully polished interview only poured fuel on an already heated debate. The Fever general manager entered what looked like a tightly controlled media appearance meant to steady the fan base after a controversial draft stretch, using all the usual executive language to justify decisions and project confidence. But tucked inside those calm corporate answers was a detail that instantly caught attention. She noted that rookie Raven Johnson, who played primarily as a point guard in college, has the potential to grow into a strong combo guard at the professional level. That single phrase, transition into a combo guard, is where the entire conversation shifts. In basketball terms, that kind of development doesn't exist in isolation. It signals role evolution across the backcourt rotation. And naturally, that raises bigger questions about how the guard positions will be structured moving forward and who may have to adjust their responsibilities. What was meant to sound like standard player development talk has instead sparked intense interpretation and speculation about the Fever's long-term backcourt plans. Welcome to WNBA Pro, where we cut through the polished front office language and break down what these statements actually imply for the team's direction, the roster hierarchy, and the future of Indiana's guard rotation.
I got sent this by Evelyn DR right here. She sent me this on Monday before the draft. Raven Johnson signed a multi-year deal with Adidas. Right here. For them shoes. Yikes. Talk about clown show shoes. Anyway, for those shoes. There is not a world where you will convince me that Raven Johnson didn't already know she was going to get drafted by the Fever.
Let's break this down properly, because in professional sports, every word from a general manager is intentional, and Amber Cox didn't just speak in cliches. She revealed how the Indiana Fever envisioned their backcourt structure. When she describes rookie Raven Johnson as a player who can transition into a combo guard, she is outlining a flexible role where the guard is expected to both initiate offense and operate off the ball as a scorer or connector depending on lineup needs. That's the core meaning of a combo guard. Shared creation duties, not a fixed, traditional one-role point guard system. The real question then becomes how that fits into the existing roster construction. Kelsey Mitchell is firmly established as a scoring guard whose game is built on finishing possessions, not organizing them, while Caitlin Clark has naturally operated as the team's primary playmaker and tempo setter. So when another guard enters the equation with ball handling responsibilities, it signals a redistribution of responsibilities across the backcourt, not a single player takeover narrative. That doesn't automatically mean removal control, but it does mean adjustment. Shared initiation, varied on-ball reps, and more rotational creativity in how offense is generated. Cox also emphasized Johnson's draft value and versatility at her selection spot, framing it as a best available decision rather than a strictly positional one, which further reinforces the idea of depth building rather than a rigid hierarchy shift. What this really shows is a coaching and front office approach focused on expanding options, staggering creators, and building multiple ways to initiate offense rather than relying on one fixed structure.
Talented players not make rosters, and there just weren't enough roster spots. And now we've got these 2 development spots with 2 additional teams coming in the league. 3 more down the road. It just allows us to develop players. Again, this league is so elite in terms of the talent. It's hard sometimes for players coming directly from college to be able to step in and impact. And because we've only got 12 regular roster spots, we have to be really prepared for those injuries, right? Like we need the depth there for people who are ready to step on the court and play. So this gives us a great chance to, get people in our pipeline that we want to see grow and develop.
She also made it clear that the front office rated Raven Johnson much higher than where she was ultimately selected, noting that they believed she had top 4 to top 5 potential, and were genuinely excited to still see her available at pick 10, which is why she described the selection as a strong win for the organization. In draft terms, that kind of reaction usually signals a player who was firmly on the team's internal board rather than a late-stage scramble, and it reflects confidence in both her talent level and long-term fit within the roster. From a team-building perspective, this points to a deliberate emphasis on adding versatile guards who can handle multiple responsibilities, create in different lineups, and give the coaching staff more flexibility in how the offense is structured, rather than suggesting chaos or last-minute decisions. Her comments align with a front office that had a clear evaluation of available talent and acted decisively when their preferred option remained on the board, framing the pick as part of a broader plan to deepen and diversify the backcourt rotation heading into the next phase of roster development. Raven Johnson's reported Adidas deal right before the draft is best understood as standard modern sports marketing timing rather than a coded signal of draft certainty. In today's WNBA and NBA ecosystems, apparel companies often finalize or announce deals around draft week because it maximizes visibility, media attention, and brand momentum for a player who is about to enter a new stage of exposure. It does not require foreknowledge of a specific franchise landing spot. Brands typically work from projected draft ranges, agency guidance, and scouting consensus, not confirmed team assignments. When you line up the public comments from Amber Cox and head coach Stephanie White, the common thread is not a hidden directive or synchronized messaging plan, but rather a consistent front office theme: roster flexibility. In modern basketball, combo guard, play on and off the ball, and backcourt versatility are standard terms used to describe multi-initiator systems, where responsibility is shared across multiple guards rather than concentrated in a single player for 40 minutes a night. That approach is increasingly common in the WNBA, especially for teams trying to survive long seasons with injury risk and heavy defensive pressure on primary ball handlers. It's also important to separate performance management from structural redesign. Teams routinely add guards not to replace a star's identity, but to reduce predictable pressure points, stagger creation responsibilities, and protect players from overuse across a demanding schedule. That doesn't automatically signal a philosophical shift away from a lead playmaker. It more often signals an attempt to ensure that playmaker is available and effective late in games and late in the season. The strongest, most grounded interpretation of all this is simpler than the narrative being built. Indiana is trying to increase its ball handling depth and reduce physical strain on its primary creators while preserving offensive creativity that can change how possessions are shared, but it does not inherently erase a player's central role. In elite basketball systems, roles often overlap, adjust, and evolve depending on matchups, health, and lineup combinations rather than being permanently reassigned by a single draft pick or single quote, that developmental contract. When you strip away the noise and focus on roster mechanics, the real issue here is fit, spacing, and role clarity in a modern WNBA offense. The concern being raised is that adding another ball-capable guard like Raven Johnson naturally raises questions about how possessions will be distributed and how the half-court structure will function alongside established creators. In basketball terms, a combo guard is simply a player who alternates between initiating offense and playing off the ball, which means the system is, by design, leaning toward shared creation rather than a single primary handler dominating every possession. That immediately forces a tactical ripple effect. Defenses adjust with more aggressive ball pressure, more help in driving gaps, and more attention to limiting paint touches, especially when a dominant interior presence like Aaliyah Boston is operating inside. On the perimeter, elite defenders will shade, switch, and deny passing lanes to disrupt rhythm, which makes spacing and shooting reliability critical to prevent the floor from tightening. The real strategic debate isn't about personalities. It's about whether a multi-creator guard rotation improves offensive flexibility or risks diluting the natural rhythm of a primary playmaker-led system. At the same time, modern contenders increasingly prioritize depth, redundancy in ball handling, and defensive resilience over rigid, single-point offensive structures because the physical demands of full WNBA season require multiple initiators to survive pressure and injuries. The tension, then, is simple but real. How do you balance elite individual offensive gravity with a system built on shared responsibility? That's a question the Fever or any contender ultimately have to solve on the court, not in press conferences, once the season tempo and defensive schemes start to fully reveal